welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode number 86. Today we are talking about Labradorite and the Hudson's Bay Company. We are talking about sharks and dolphins in the Thames, and we're going to take a look at the Perseids meteor shower which peaks this week. So grab a cup of tea, put some incense on, get comfy, and we'll explore the Witching Week. Hi everybody, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Before I go into tea and incense, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that I know that supports me, both over on Patreon and here watching the Witching Week. You guys are absolutely brilliant and you've been keeping me afloat and keeping me going. I've had a really busy week, a completely mental week, but it is just so enjoyable having something to work towards and something that I can do to give back to everyone. So I'm really loving working within the witchcraft, I don't want to say industry, let's say topic. Topic seems like a weird word as well, doesn't it? The word will come to me, but anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I know that some of you watch the Witching Week, either sat down with a cup of tea and, you know, like a proper full-on relax and watch, but some of you also put my videos on when you're pottering around the house and you're doing your housework and you just, you know, get cracking on with things. So thank you so much. Every single minute that you watch just contributes, so thank you so much. I really can't say thanks enough. So tea and incense. Well, today I am drinking what I was drinking last week. I've been really enjoying it. It's the strawberry and watermelon instant tea from Whittard. Now, the exciting thing about this is if you go to the description of this video, you will find a link and it says products I love, in brackets Amazon. If you click on that link, you will go through to my Amazon page. This is something I've set up this week. You will be able to see exactly what I am drinking and what I am burning on the Witching Week. So within reason, not all products are obviously found on Amazon. I tried to find the lead superfood hot chocolate that I've just reviewed over on Patreon. That's an exclusive Patreon video. It won't be shown here on YouTube. And they didn't have that one. They had all the other lead superfood drinks except for the hot chocolate one, but I'll keep an eye out. But it's brilliant because you can go over to this Amazon page and see exactly the products that I'm using. So this is on there. So if you go to the page that says, or the folder that says the Witching Week tea picks, you will find any kind of drink that I have here on the Witching Week in there. So you can see what I am burning today. So massive thank you to Nikki, who is a member of my Patreon. Thank you so much for sending me this. This is Sri Sai Flora Fluxo Incense, and it is really lovely. She sent it to me because she loves this one, and I can see why. So this reminds me of the old school incense we had like 20 odd years ago. I don't remember there being as much sort of variety and as much to choose from as there is now. Obviously 20 years ago I was in my early 20s, and I did use incense then. I've been using it since I was about 14 years old, but I don't remember there being as much of a choice. It might just be that I was busy with other things, but this very much seems like the kind of old school incense, the aroma of the ones we had back then. And I think these burn longer. They seem to burn longer than your average incense. And let me show you one of the sticks. They are so loaded with herbs, with incense. I don't know if you can see that. They're like super, super thick. And you have to be careful that you don't knock this stuff off, but they are absolutely fantastic, and they're a really, really good price. They're under £3, I think, off the top of my head. So if you want to have a look at this, at this product, then go over onto my Amazon page and find the incense folder, and it's listed in there. If you do buy anything from any of these links, I will get a few pennies. Thank you so much if you've ordered from there already, but that is not the idea. The idea is a collection of things that I really, really enjoy. So if you do happen to buy anything from there, then thank you. It's a great help. It goes with these YouTube videos and just giving me a few pennies to keep me going and keep me working within the witchcraft community. So, but yeah, thank you so much. But check these out. These are amazing. So, what have you all been up to? What has been going on in your lives? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. Have you had a good week, a bad week? Has it just been indifferent? It's been an odd week here. It was starting to get cold, and then now it's getting warmer again. Apparently we're going to be headed towards 30 odd degrees next week. We've had lots of rioting at night in various places across the UK. And whilst the media have been covering it, I feel like they've been playing it down somewhat, because if you actually write down a list of place names, it's really quite scary. It's been anti-immigration protests, which is daft because, you know, the people here are meant to be here, and if somebody's seeking asylum, then, you know, they're trying to escape something pretty awful. And my personal view is that we should be there to help them. But it has been good to see that there have been thousands upon thousands of people that have been turning up to counter protest and to take a stand against racism, because this is actually what it's been about. So love always wins. Love always wins. So what else has been going on off the top of my head? Oh yes, Baby Pigeon. Oh, before I get on to Baby Pigeon, actually, while we're on the subject of bits and pieces I've been up to, because it's not one of our topics, I have been working on spell kits. So in the comments, in the description, there is also a link to my shop. I had it briefly in 2021 to just give it a trial. I closed it down because I was struggling physically to do everything. My health is a million times worse, but I'm managing to somehow stay on top of things. But anyway, I've brought the shop back, and in particular, it's going to be my spell kits, incense, spell candles, and there's a few other little treats and surprises that I'm working on in the background at the moment. The idea of these spell kits is you use the colour. So I've got 10 colours, and they work in relation to magical correspondences, so colour theory. So for example, light blue, healing, protection, calm, renewal, meditation. I think there's a few people in the UK that could do one of these kits right now, but they're not your generic, like spell for calm or spell for happiness. The idea is you use the petition paper inside and you craft your own magical goal in relation to the general topic, so that you make your magic personal, you make it relevant to you. You're working on a specific magical goal, and when we do magic, we always have to have a very clear and concise magical goal. So yes, these will hopefully be out, I want to say next Friday the 16th, but I will keep you posted. Keep an eye out on Instagram, and if you're in my Patreon, you will hear, and if I do bring them out on Friday, then I will mention it on the Witching Week, so you'll get to know here as well. But obviously it will mean that you'll have to watch the video and kind of be there ready in time. But anyway, I'm going to put a small amount of these up for sale as soon as I can. They are quite time consuming for me to make, but they're just brilliant, and they were really popular before and you guys really enjoyed them. So yeah, I've been enjoying resurrecting that this week. Baby Pigeon, I'm really sorry to announce that Baby Pigeon did not make it. So shortly after this video went up, Justin told me that he had found the remains, and I did see a photo, so there were some feathers and a little bit of, not very much, so something, either a fox or a cat had a meal. So I'm really sorry to report that. Like I said last week, it was a real dilemma knowing what to do, whether to step in, whether to let nature take its course. And it was being fed and looked after by its parents. So it managed to live like 6 days after its fall. It wasn't doing very well on the Monday when we found it. And then on the Tuesday, it was just so much better, and it was just getting better and better and better. Like Tuesday, you couldn't really tell that there was anything wrong with it. You know, it was obviously just in shock on the Monday. I think it rolled down the tree. It's very, very soft, the tree that it would have been in, and the landing would have been very soft, and he was, you know, he was a bit sort of ruffled and covered in dirt and dust, but on the Tuesday he looked brilliant, and he was being fed, and he was being kept out of the sun and the heat, and then he was coming out in the evening, and he was with his parents. So it was a really, really difficult one to know when to step in, but Baby Pigeon did not make it, I'm afraid. So rest in peace, Baby Pigeon. So we were sent this picture in the week, which is, I find this to be really, really exciting. So our friend, he is an Orcadian, he lives on Orkney, he lives in the Stromness area, and he found 2 pieces of Labradorite on the beach. Now this apparently is something that's becoming increasingly rare. So the Labradorite has come from Labrador in Canada. And back in the 1700s, ships sailing from Canada over to Orkney would have dumped the Labradorite, which was used as ballast. They would have dumped it on the beach to make way for provisions and supplies. So once upon a time, back in the 1600s, when we went to war in Europe, so 1688, the only safe way to cross the Atlantic would have been to go up and over the top of Scotland. So as a result, Orkney, Stromness in particular, became a very busy seaport, and it was quite often, well, it was the last port of call for traders, merchants and whalers. And in 1702, the Hudson's Bay Company, they were ships that carried this stone. They actually started to directly employ men from Orkney. So in looking up Labradorite from Orkney and to find a little bit more about it being dumped on the beach, I found so much interesting information. Now apparently Orkney men were paid by this company 3 times the amount they would have got at home doing the same job, and they got to see the world. They got to go on these ships and they got to travel, and so this was a really, really good decision for them. And this company were paying men down in London double the amount. So in the end, they employed the Orcadian workers they were tough, they were used to living by the coast, they were used to shipfaring and using boats and being out at sea. And so this working relationship was built. And when the ships would come in, they would remain in the harbour at Stromness for about 2 to 3 weeks. And the operations going on there would sort of need about 60 to 100 men. So they became a good employer for the Orkney men. And so there is this link between Orkney and Canada and Orkney and Labradorite. So I thought this was so interesting. So I thought I'd have a little look at some of the magical properties of Labradorite and share them with you. If you look up Orkney Labradorite, you do get local Orkney Stromness jewellers, and they use Labradorite in some of their jewellery, and it makes sense. This piece looks like a piece of lapis lazuli. I'm never sure how to pronounce that. It looks like a piece of lapis, but it's not. It is Labradorite, and if that was polished up, which I'm sure our friend probably will do actually, because he's got lots of tools and he does lots of crafting, and he's made us rocks before now with with runes in and then polished them up, and they were beautiful. If this is polished up, it will have that beautiful sheen and that lovely flash in it. Anyway, Labradorite, it is associated with protection. It is said to balance the chakras. It's very much related to psychic ability, intuition, opening the third eye, spiritual insight, higher realms of consciousness, all the sort of the spiritual things. And when you think of the colour, you know, you've got that dark blue and that sort of purpley colour in places, which is very much related to colour theory again. It guards against psychic attack apparently, and it is said to encourage people to stand in their authentic selves. I've just started wearing Labradorite, funnily enough. I've been quite drawn to it. I've got a pendant and a really nice ring, and yeah, blue is not one of those colours that I wear very often. My daughter told me that I need to wear blue because of my silver, and it is something I've worn more in recent sort of times, but I don't have a lot of blue. But Labradorite is just really, really beautiful. It's just such a lovely colour, and obviously you do get variations. You get some bits that are more purple than anything, but mainly it's that blue, isn't it, with kind of can have like a yellowy greeny flush in it as well, and a bit grey as well. Very, very interesting stone. So sticking with a watery theme, we're going to go from the sky, from the sea eventually to the sky, but dolphins in the Thames. So I have been reading, well, first off, it was about 2 dolphins that have actually washed up dead on the Thames. They had been on the banks of the Thames. They had been spotted, and it was said, oh no, it won't be dolphins, but it was dolphins, and unfortunately they died. But that led me down, not a rabbit hole, but that did lead me on to something else. So apparently we have the Greater Thames Shark Project. This is a charity, of course. I did not realise that we have up to 5 species of shark that live in the Thames estuary, and some of them do come up the Thames. Very, very interesting if you love animals, I guess. I know many of you do. So we have the taupe shark. We have the starry smoothhound shark, which is a great name, and we have the spur dog shark, which is also another fantastic name. And the first 2, one of them is threatened and the other one is considered near threatened. So these are animals that are, you know, they're at risk of becoming extinct. So the page I ended up on, the Great Thames Shark Project, it is one of the projects run by ZSL Conservation, which I've never heard of before. They must have been going for an extremely long time, because apparently they have a tradition, an unbroken tradition of always having the reigning British monarch as the patron of the charity, and that has been going since 1830. So that just tells you how long this conservation group has been going. So currently King Charles is the patron of ZSL Conservation, and before it was the Queen. I do find, just going off topic a little bit here, and I won't be liked for this comment by some people, I'm not anti, it's a difficult one, I'm not totally out and out anti-royal and anti-monarchy. I actually quite enjoy reading about the royals, and I really like King Charles. I think he is much better in some ways than the monarch we had before, the Queen. If I met these people, I'd be very, very respectful, of course, and I do like King Charles, his approach to things, and the same goes for William. And I'm not going to be liked for this, but I have to say I find it really, really weird that you have the monarchy and they are absolutely minted. And I mean, they are minted. They have so much money, and they become a head of a charity to ask everybody else to give their money, you know, the poor people basically, in comparison. And I know that you could say, well, if they gave their money to every charity, fine, but I still think if they gave money to every charity, enough to seriously help that charity and to seriously sort out some of the problems in the world, I still think they'd have more money than they could spend. So, but anyway, I digress a little bit. go and support, if you can, the Great Thames Shark Project. It looks like a really worthwhile cause. I think it's the spur dog shark, or was it the starry smooth hound? One of them, I think it was the spur dog shark. That one, it's the only species in our waters on Earth, so it's like that shark and it lives there. So really, really great project. I'm all for conservation projects, obviously, and I'm all for charities and for us, the people, helping other people where necessary. And I'm not out and out anti-monarchy. I did not like the Queen being beamed onto Stonehenge, but those are just my own personal views. I felt that should have been left alone, but it does feel weird them asking other people to support. But you know, if there is a project or a charity you would like to support, go and check it out. And it was really interesting. I was on their website, really, really interesting reading about these different types of shark and having a look at the photos of them and stuff. Very interesting. And I feel sorry for the common dolphins that didn't make it, but their lives were not completely in vain. I was so interested by what I read. I will be making a small donation myself to this particular project, because we really have to look after our waters, don't we? We have to look after the sea. It's at the heart of everything. It's a bit like our bees. So next, Mercury retrograde. I'm not going to go massively into like what it is, well, the ways in which it's supposed to affect us. We've done this before. There are 3 periods this year that when Mercury retrograde happens. There was a period back in April. August the 5th, Mercury went retrograde and will be there going in that direction till the 27th. And then we have November the 25th till December the 15th this year. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because someone asked me to explain on the Witching Week what Mercury retrograde, what is actually happening to give it that, the idea that it's moving backwards. So I will go over just very quickly spiritually what is said to be going on when Mercury goes retrograde, but we're not going to hang on that bit. So traditionally, it's a time when we see that like the wind is changing. It's a time for us to reframe things, and we are told that quite often there'll be issues with like communication, with technology, stuff like that. So it wouldn't be a time where you would perhaps launch a tech-related business or launching any kind of new endeavour, really. Not a good time for signing contracts, just not a good time for communication, basically. So anything related to that you'd want to avoid. And it is said that, during this time, there would be issues in those kind of departments in life. But what we're going to talk about today is what is actually happening when Mercury goes retrograde. So the actual term is apparent retrograde motion. So it looks like it's going backwards, or it looks like it's traveling in the opposite direction to what it actually is. How does this work? How does this happen? It's basically an optical illusion. Have you ever been in either a car or a train and another vehicle is next to yours, and the speeds happen at which you feel like you are then going backwards? So being on the train, that's a really good example. Another train will come along, and due to their speed compared to the speed of the train that you're on, you suddenly feel like you're moving backwards, but you're not. You're still going forwards. You're just traveling at a different speed. So from the perspective of Earth, it looks like the motion of a planet is travelling backwards. And this happens when Earth overtakes a slower planet in orbit. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's not actually travelling backwards. Nothing is. Everything's in orbit in the same direction it always was. It's just that when two get close to each other and there are different speeds, it feels like one is going backwards. So if you've ever wondered, there you have it, an optical illusion. Just think of being in a car or being on the train. So talking of being in the sky, we're going to stay there. We've been in the water, now we're in the sky. Let's look at the Perseids. So the Perseids are an annual meteor shower. So we get to see things like shooting stars, and they happen from mid-July round about mid-August, and the peak is going to be this week on the 12th, obviously in the early hours of the morning. So shooting stars, what are they? They are actually meteors. They're tiny particles of dust that are vaporizing in the Earth's atmosphere. They don't actually have anything to do with stars. They are not stars. They're just small bits of dust. So you should be able to see meteors and shooting stars in this shower just about anywhere really. Obviously it helps if you can get somewhere dark, but generally on the whole you can see them from cities. At the peak there's usually about 100 meteors per hour at the peak, and this will include like streaks, so you'll see them streaking across the sky, and also fireballs. Now I have seen a fireball, also known as a bolide. I saw one, I think I've told the story before, many years ago when I lived in Suffolk, and I was up in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep. In fact, I couldn't sleep last night. I should have gone upstairs, shouldn't I? I should have gone downstairs and had a look. Anyway, I just went outside. It was a warm night. I sat outside and I saw a fireball, a bolide, and it was really weird. It got my adrenaline going. It was massive. It didn't look like your shooting star. It looked like 10 times the size of that, and there was a big fiery tail, and I was just like, oh my god, what have I seen? I don't know if my heart started racing because I wondered if it was going to like hit Earth or something. I don't know. This was a very, very long time ago. Now I probably just wouldn't worry, but it was amazing. It was amazing. So you might be able to see a fireball. So if you're like me and you don't always sleep well, and you get up and you make a cup of tea, stick your head outside, and the 12th is going to be the peak. So we'll go on for a little bit after that, but really you need to catch it this weekend. And there is a quarter moon on the 12th, so that is favourable viewing conditions. So we're nearly done for today. One last thing I wanted to show you was I was out with my youngest stepdaughter, and we went into Primark, not somewhere I would usually shop. I had a look at the perfumes because perfumes are my thing, and I found this amazing perfume. It was £6 and it's Wild Azalea, very, very simple bottle, Wild Azalea. And it is a vegan perfume, and it is so good. It is so good. So check out their perfume range. If you want to find a perfume that is absolutely, it says cruelty-free, international and vegan on the back. And it actually hangs around. You know, I've bought perfumes where I suppose they're eau de toilettes, and you put them on and they're lovely, but they don't last 2 minutes. This stuff's brilliant. It's really, really good. I love these sort of old-fashioned, traditional plant sort of type perfumes. When I think of these, I think of that, there's a Bluebell one, isn't there? And they sell some of them in Boots. Some very sort of like, I call them old lady perfumes, but actually they're my favourite. Right, so it's time to do some cards for today. Thank you so much. I know that loads of you have been watching the videos. You message me and say thank you for another great witching week. I love doing these so much, so thank you. What are you all up to this weekend? I hope you've got something nice planned. I feel like this is that time where we really have to make the most of the weather, don't we? Well, while it's sort of here, while it's mild, get outside as much as you can, get as much fresh air as you can. That said, October, we keep talking about it because we're approaching sort of the burn months. It was lovely last year, but not good, I know, not good to have those temperatures, but maybe it's not over for us yet. I've been feeling so sad, feeling like, you know, this is the last month of summer, we're whizzing through it, and it's been making me feel sad, but actually September will probably be nice, and hoping October will be nice. Right then, okay. How many cards shall we pick today? I'm just going to pick until I feel like I've got the right amount. Okay, so I picked 4 cards today. We have got the 4 of Wands, we've got the 2 of Cups, we've got the 10 of Pentacles, and we have got the Page of Cups. So there's a lot of balanced energy here in these numbers, the 4, the 2, the 10. A lot of abundance here, and feels like a lot of love. So this is hinting towards some sort of celebration, and I feel like that is with not just like loved ones. Obviously you're going to have a celebration with, you know, your friends or family, the people that you love, but for me this feels very much like a gathering of people that are like-minded. And so that might not mean necessarily friends or family, that could mean clubs, it could mean, you know, groups that you're in, it could mean a magical group, it could be something like a Patreon, but there is a feeling that you should be taking time to celebrate. I feel like so many of our tarot readings in the last 2 years have been very sort of like doomy, gloomy advice, reflection, heavy stuff, but this reading just feels so much lighter, and there just feels like this sort of sense of sharing and abundance. And yeah, very much just sort of expect the unexpected, you know, go with the flow, use your intuition. Usually when the Page of Cups come up, that can quite often be a message about a marriage or a birth. And if you ever get the Page of Cups come up with an Empress, usually the Empress, that usually means a birth, a baby. But no, there's this feeling of joining together, feeling equal, sharing in stuff. So whether that be, you know, money, food, it could be knowledge, it could be that if you have a magical group that you get together with, or a book reading club or a sports club, but there very much feels like there should be a celebration. And we know that this card is related to home. It's about foundations. It's about, you know, where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable. But it doesn't necessarily need to mean that, you know, this is just how I'm interpreting the cards. But anyway, there is something that you should be reveling in. There is something you should be enjoying. There is something you should be sharing and taking part in, and doing that with other people, you know, having a bit of a party, having a bit of a, you know, cheers, a bit of a time together, and yeah, just relishing yourself, who you are, what you're all about. This is a feel-good deck of hands. So I hope that you take some time this week, if not this week or this weekend, sometime in the near future, to let your hair down, relax. It didn't quite have the same energy as the 3 of Cups. This is very much about doing this on a par with other people that are on a level, you know, that literally see eye to eye. So make of that what you will. I'm just passing on the message, but I hope you carve out some time in the next week or two anyway, or in the month, to enjoy yourself. Actually, it kind of goes back to what I was saying, isn't it, about making the most of the last of these months before we head into darker months. I just cut the video where I'm picking the cards because I feel like this video would take forever, but I can tell you that I honestly pick out the cards. What you see is what I pick, and it always amuses me how much the things that I talk about on the Witching Week, how that is then related to the cards. The cards always seem to match. Not always, but a lot of the time. Anyway, I'm waffling now. Have an absolutely brilliant week. I'm wishing you all the very best, and I'll be back next Friday with another Witching Week. All right, lots of love and blessings for now. Take care. Bye.